Hey there, this is Atlas No Shishi with a brand new video. Before I start, let me give my thanks to everybody who watched my very first video that dropped last week. I appreciate all the comments and advice left on there for me. I didn't think it would reach 100 views, and I realized that is a small number, but to me it's huge and it's reached some people whose opinions I truly respect. So that sparked a lot of interesting conversation. Check it out if you haven't yet. And let's start with the topic at hand. Today, I am going to talk about Wano Kuni. One Piece's current arc is hitting me really different. I am enjoying it so much, both in the anime and the manga. And that is not something I could say about Dressrosa, which dragged insanely in both mediums. And also Whole Cake Island, which I didn't really think it was bad, but I would say that I enjoyed it in the manga a bit more. And that is not really good because a proper anime adaptation should always eclipse its manga counterpart, in my opinion. You cannot have elements such as voiceovers, soundtracks, colors, and animated characters and come up short with the fans, then call the anime a success. When it comes to the One Piece anime specifically, I think that Katakuri vs. Luffy is where the page started turning for me. Animation quality and overall production picked up in a big way, and since then, constant improvements have been noticed by the majority of the fan base. So in this video, I'm going to try to explain and put into words why Wano has already eclipsed everything post time skip for me. Yes, we haven't even reached its end, but in my opinion, the arc has already offered enough to be one of the all-time great arcs in One Piece. And let me be perfectly clear, this is not a you should mandatory love what I love type of video. I'm not trying to change anybody's opinion or mind about Wano. If you dislike it, feel underwhelmed by it, or just made theories and predictions that are more exciting than what we actually had, and you don't feel good about that, that is completely fine. I respect your opinion and you're cool with me. I'm only trying to share my personal experience as a fan of over 16 years. This in no way means my opinion is more valuable than anybody else's, but perhaps it could put things under a different light to fans who might not understand why some of the older demographic fans are super hyped about Wano. So let us start by a little bit of a backstory. Just to put everything into perspective, I want to tie in my personal experience with the arc, and I promise that once I start talking about Wano, I won't go back to my personal stories. I will not bore you with that, but if you can please bear with me just for a second here. I am originally from Morocco, a country in North Africa. I started watching One Piece at 8 years old, and I remember that vividly because the French channel that got its license made huge promo for it, hyping how One Piece is the hottest thing currently in Japan. They were going to dub it in French and air 4 episodes a week. I was very excited and still in my Dragon Ball phase. I saw Luffy throwing some mean punches in the ad they aired, so I was really sold into giving it a chance. They only had 40 something episodes spanning from the start of the series until the end of Arlong Bark Saga. So while I didn't get my Kamehamehas and dramatic power-ups, I was left intrigued by the characters and very interested by their potential development. Will Luffy become the Pirate King? Can Zoro avenge his humiliating loss to Mihawk? Will Sanji discover All Blue? I had to live with all of these questions for years because I did not have the internet and did not know anything else beside what I had watched from the story so far. I thought the anime actually ended in Japan and the French channel only got 40 something episodes because they didn't have the budget to buy the whole thing. So I was very surprised when an Arabic dub made One Piece accessible to a whole generation of Arabic kids. An Arabic channel called Space Tune got the rights to One Piece and expanded on the French version. It dubbed episodes all the way until the entry of the Straw Hats to Grand Line, so I could see more and more of the story and get invested more and more into the characters, but I had no idea when will the story end. Long story short, One Piece became this huge phenomenon among younger folks, and I just happened to go to school with a bunch of the most passionate One Piece nerds I have ever seen. Shout out to all my homies, you know who you are. We were in the same class and every day sat at the very back of the room, paid no attention to the professors, and we just talked and talked about One Piece like if it was our job. Honestly, it was like the One Piece YouTube community currently, but in real life. We got into so much trouble for non-stop talking and got kicked out of many classes. Most of the conversations I had with my friends were speculations about future events in the story and analyzing the chapters and episodes as they were coming out. It was a great experience. Unfortunately, 4 or 5 years passed by and we all graduated high school, so the One Piece squad disbanded. I personally landed in the US, my friends landed all over Europe, some in France, some in Germany, and one is in Japan. So naturally we lost touch with each other and the contact was getting scarce, especially that I got married and started my own little family here. Fast forward to September 30th of 2019, 1 week after my 24th birthday. Chapter 957 drops and my world just shifts. I wake up to texts and missed calls from my friend in Japan, who of course had early access to the chapters before any of us. He texts me in all caps, "Read the One Piece chapter." So as I am in the bathroom, I read it while still on the stall. And oh man, it was the most satisfying chapter I have ever read. We got the bounties of all of the One Piece legends. You would not believe the amount of hours my friends and I spent speculating on this matter. I am talking days on days on days for over 5 years. And now we finally got our answers. My friends and I set up a group call that afternoon and we rolled back the years. We really had an amazing discussion, the same way we had when we were just 15 and 16. The point I'm trying to make isn't just nostalgia taking over my feelings. No, this wasn't just nostalgia. This was the sweet taste of a decade plus wait for a payoff. One Piece is not one of the works where you get answers to most questions by the end of every arc. Oh no. As you all know, there are mysteries and unsolved questions that each of us had for the longest time, and we are no way close to knowing the truth about them. One Piece really tests your ability to wait for answers, but man, when you get a payoff, especially a big one, it really feels like major news. So that is reason number 1 why Wano has been an incredible experience for me. It answered many questions I had for over a decade, and I believe that the joy and happiness I felt that day was duplicated all around the world by many of the longtime fans. And that is the point of the whole One Piece experience, right? To read it and just feel happy and satisfied. But not only that though, that sneaky Oda finally revealed the long-awaited bounties. But of course, he tied it in with a whole new mystery. The Rocks Pirates. A crew with Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard all under one captain, Zebek D. Rocks. We also heard the legendary tales of their war against the Navy and Goldie Roger, and I am sure this topic will be expanded on later in the story. But the bottom line is Oda did it again. He now has a new tremendous flashback or backstory he can dive into later that will have the fans eating out of the palms of his hands. The second aspect that I am really enjoying in Wano is the threat level and sense of urgency that is felt throughout the story. Long gone are the days of Fishman Island where the Straw Hats were never in any real danger, or Dressrosa where Doflamingo and perhaps Fujitora, who had a smaller role, were the only two legitimate threats to our band of misfits. And I'm not saying this to reflect badly on those arcs, not at all. Oda is the type of writers with a really chill vibe in most of his arcs. He likes to focus on the world building, the flashbacks, and character traits rather than instilling the fear and anxiety of huge threats in every arc. And I truly believe that he does that on purpose so the fans don't get very comfortable with the idea of having crazy levels of danger and threats all the time, because that takes the magic out of it. But by the time he really needs to point the focus of the story on that aspect, it works at every single try. I mean, look at Enies Lobby, Impel Down, Sabodi, and Marineford. Those are all very good examples where threat and danger were the main focus of the arc. So how does Oda establish the current threat levels of the story? Well, let's start by the man who falls out of the sky for fun. In chapter 922, we met Kaido, and the arc just started with a bang. It immediately established Kaido as no joke when he disposed of Kid, Hawkins, and Apu effortlessly. You then hear the mythical stories about him and his invincible body, his devil fruit, and just one chapter later in 923, he one-shots Luffy into oblivion. One shot! That right there made me realize just how insane this arc was going to be. Because if the Straw Hats and Supernova want to defeat this man, then we're in for a very long journey. Because they just cannot overpower him at this time. And now Luffy is captured as well, and Kaido is established as a top tier threat. Of course, we already knew Kaido was going to be dope, but now this is the payoff to all that speculations we've been having. We got to see him make quick work of characters that are pretty strong, or so we thought. And then, just as the stakes are getting higher and higher, Oda makes the incredibly risky choice of adding Big Mom to the stakes. And by chapter 954, they announced their alliance. And this just left me baffled. Yes, of course, I was now more intrigued about the story and the repercussions of this alliance on the Straw Hats. But honestly, I was amazed at Oda's balls. Well, not quite literally, but my God, what a man, what a writer. As someone who studied finance, I understand risk and not putting all of your eggs in one basket. But Oda is taking a huge one here by putting not just one, but two of his biggest antagonists, plus dozens of strong and popular characters in the same arc. So why is it a risk, you ask? Well, because it very rarely ends up being a good idea in shonen works. Pick an anime, whatever anime. I'm not saying I watched every single show, but I did watch a lot. And spoiler alert for some of the more popular shonen series out there, I'm gonna speak a little bit about some examples, but like Naruto Shippuden's last arc was not critically acclaimed. Personally, I don't think it's bad. I really had some fun with it. I just skipped all the fillers and watched what matters, and I was satisfied by the end of it. But the fans did not like it that much. the overall perception was not that great, even though you had so many good characters. I mean, Madara, Obito, everybody just came back from the dead. It still was not enough to satisfy the hype of the fans. Bleach's 1,000-Year War arc was rushed, and again, the story was not really bad, and we had so many fan favorite characters, but it just ended abruptly, and its fans' reception was not the best. Yu Yu Hakusho's ending is actually critically acclaimed, but personally, it left me wanting more because eventually the main antagonists turned out to be not that evil and everybody made peace. The tournament winner was very out of left field, and I don't think Wano will end that peacefully. The only good instances of having so many threats and characters in one arc and for it to be actually good is the Elysian chapter in Saint Seiya Inferno and Saint Seiya Lost Canvas. In my opinion, I really enjoyed that and the fans really loved that. And the second instance is Marineford. And guess who wrote that? None other than Eiichiro Oda, who is doubling down and betting on himself again to pull this miracle off. Because man, writing a story is really hard. Oda vowed to surpass Marineford with this Wano arc, and so far I feel like he did all the good choices and sets up the course of events perfectly to do so. The third reason I'm in love with this arc is the characters. I mean, I really was not a huge fan of Big Mom's crew. Katakuri was cool, but I did not feel any hype about Cracker, Smoothie, or Brulee. I don't really know why, but most of the Charlotte family just was not my vibe. Their lack of competence and just weird chemistry did not click with me. And I feel like most of the story was about Sanji anyway, and this just overshadowed all the build-up and hype for the Big Mom Pirates. I'm not saying the arc itself was bad, because Oda definitely tackled some deep thematics like race, equality, and utopism, and I don't want to take anything from that. But I'm simply talking about the Big Mom crew here, and I was really not impressed by them. On the other hand, before we even reached Wano, the Beast Pirates were built up as these insane monsters. Just a fraction of the whole crew led by Jack was enough to destroy Zoro. Then the same madman attempts to rescue Doflamingo from a heavily secured navy fleet. He failed, but just the action of him going for it made me like and respect him. We even got to see his bounty early on. He had 1 billion berry on his head. And for some reason back then, I really thought that Jack would be the first commander of the Beast Pirates. That's how much I was impressed by his skills. So I really was hyped to know more of the Beast Pirates and Kaido's crew, and I was not disappointed when we saw the other commanders. I mean, Queen, the second commander of the Beast Pirates, had the biggest bounty we ever seen up to that point, 1,320,000,000 berry. He has a tremendous ancient zone devil fruit. I'm a sucker for dinosaur powers, and he was totally unimpressed with Luffy's haki and powers when both were in Udon's jail. He also took on Big Mom 1v1 without hesitation and didn't die, proving he's no joke as well. And that is not all. King of the Wildfire, Kaido's actual right-hand man and first commander, that guy is just awesome. Before we talk about him, let me just say that I am a huge fan of his character design. Oda takes liberty with most of his characters and draws funny, exaggerated art, but once in a while he comes up with a menacing, threatening character, and I just love it. King looks the part of a beast who can rival most of the characters we have seen in the story so far. I have a feeling he will be way stronger than Katakuri, Jack, Queen, and perhaps even Marco and the rest of Whitebeard's commanders. Outside of the look, he has tons of mystique surrounding him, especially his unknown race. that we still don't know much about. Seeing him cause so much trouble to Big Mom and her crew single-handedly made me respect him a lot and realize that he can be the biggest threat Straw Hats face yet if any of them face him one-on-one. I don't want to spoil too much of the story, but if you add in all of these interesting characters we just spoke about to our new protagonists, the Scabbards and their story, Odin's flashback, and the beauty of a hero that did not make the smart choices every time. I mean, I related to Odin a lot. I don't relate to Superman because that guy is just perfect. Odin is more of a guy I can relate to because he makes human decisions. And to see how his death affected all of his friends and family, the sacrifices he made to prevent them from suffering a tragic end, it was all just really inspiring. And this just further establishes Oda as the king of flashbacks with no comparison. Also, there are other stories in Wano so far that complement the main story and still have very much life of their own, like Yamato's conflict of interest with her father and her idolation of Odin, Kid's capture and dealing with the pain of seeing what happened to his crewmate Killer, the word government abolishing the Shishibukai system and having Akaino and Kizaru perhaps plotting a coup against Kaido and Big Mom in Wano. I mean, I am passing through these subjects right now and I'm realizing that each of them could have its own long format video. But all of these storylines play a vital role in my enjoyment of Wano and all deal with deeper themes such as identity, slavery, and politics. The final reason I'm writing this love letter for Wano is because I feel like this arc in itself is a love letter from Oda to his homeland of Japan. In both the anime and the manga, we have seen so much beautiful art. Buildings, clothes, weapons, nature, all are masterfully drawn. The character designs for Wano are also amazing, the kimonos look very good on the Straw Hats, and the coloring in the anime is just superb. The sequences of animations are also done nicely in scenes like Kaido vs Luffy, Zoro vs Killer, Law vs Hawkins. Overall, really high quality stuff from Toei. There is still room for improvement with the pacing, but I have been enjoying some of the filler material in episodes, such as Rayleigh showing us his strength, Ryumi's flashback, and Zoro's entrance to Wano. The new One Piece anime director is said to be working directly with Oda when it comes to filler because he wants to do the story justice. I feel like Toei knew that they were dropping the ball very hard on the One Piece anime for a few years, and that could hurt the franchise's legacy. But now with the new technology being used, the new staff members, I do feel that the anime is on the right track to preserve its legacy and keep offering the fans a very good visual experience of their favorite manga. I'm honestly thinking that by the time Wano blows up, the anime could reach Marineford levels of success. And that just pretty much sums up all of my thoughts and recap of Wano. All that is left to say is that the most important part of the arc is still ahead. Yes, everything I have said so far is amazing and very important, but Oda is the one that has to face the biggest challenge, which is to stick the landing of a huge arc that involves a staggering amount of important characters. I think that if he does a good job with the Straw Hats power-ups, and I'm speaking about Luffy's new advanced Haki and Zoro's mastery of Enma, it could be a really fun experience for the fans to see how the Straw Hats can go from commander level to hopefully maybe admiral level. But overall, if Oda does a job of the same quality as what he did in Marineford, you could be looking at one of the greatest arcs in not only One Piece but shown in history.